Hey everyone, welcome to the KE Report, a company update coming from Sitka Gold. Recently, I have been talking with Sitka Gold about the exploration going on at the company's RC Gold project in the Yukon and a couple new target areas, the Rhosgobel and Pukelman areas that were drilled this year. Now we have some results from the Rhosgobel area. I am chatting with Mike Burke, Director and Vice President of Corporate Development at Sitka Gold. Company is traded on the TSX Venture Exchange under the symbol SIG, on the OTCQB under the symbol SITKF, and the Frankfurt Exchange 1RF. Now, Mike, look, two holes were drilled at this Rhosgobel intrusion at this RC Gold project. Both holes hit mineralization. The very first hole drilled here, headline number being 119 meters of 1.05 grams per ton gold. There's also some higher grade intercepts, and there's also a long intercept of 164 meters of 0.82 grams per ton gold. Hole two, that had a very long intercept of 350 meters of zero point 0.4 grams per ton gold. Look, two holes, you're already hitting mineralization here. Mike, what's your takeaway from really just early on drilling at this Rhosgobel intrusion?
Yeah, we're really excited to get in and do some drilling at Rhosgobel. As I've mentioned before in some of our interviews, our geologist, our CEO, myself, Gilles Desereau, our project geologist have all worked on this property before and knew that this Rhosgobel target sat out there relatively untested, except for that 1995 drilling that Kennecott did with shallow reverse circulation drill holes that really indicated there was extensive mineralization in this, but there's never been a diamond drill hole. So that's where we got in and we drilled these two holes. And as you mentioned, the very first hole hit, 164 meters of 0.8, but within that 119 meters of 1.05. So a nice consistent zone there of better than a gram. This drill hole is one of those classic plus 100 gram meter drill holes. And I think anybody out there in the gold exploration world would be tickled pink, just like we are, to pull off a plus 100 gram meter discovery hole. So that's what we consider this. This truly is a new discovery. That's one of the reasons we targeted Rhosgobel, is we felt in this ground that we acquired, the southern part of the Clear Creek intrusive complex, we felt there was two areas that were the most unexplored, but also had the best potential. And that's Rhosgobel and Pukelman, the intrusion hosted part of these potential deposits. So Rhosgobel to drill these first two initial holes and extend mineralization down to about 300 meters depth vertically from surface really bodes well for this. We're gonna be doing a lot more drilling here next year for sure.
So, Mike, as much as this is a new discovery for Sitka, we can see in figure two, which I will post below this interview, there was some past drilling here, something that we had touched on. Those old drill logs, they're faded in that figure, but just explain to us again, new discovery for Sitka, but this area had been drilled before and there had been some decent mineralization hit.
Yeah, exactly. Kennecott in 1995 did shallow reverse circulation drilling to, a maximum of about 60 meters depth. So in that figure two, you can see two scissored holes that go from surface. They both hit, one was, I think, 67 meters of 1.03 grams. The other was 50 meters at 1.07. Reverse circulation drilling, as I mentioned, very shallow depths. Kennecott drilled elsewhere on this intrusion and hit mineralization. So we knew that this intrusion was mineralized. We just needed to come in here, use the diamond drill. We use oriented drill core. It's going to give us a lot more information. Our geological model holds true. The veins hosting mineralization strike east-west, dip steeply to the south. So everything's holding together. So now it's just a matter of us stepping out. This old Kennecott drilling was on a 200-meter spaced grid. So there is a lot of room between drill holes from that surface test that they did to find additional mineralization. And that's exactly what these first two holes do. The other thing about the Rhosgobel and Pukelman intrusion are they're the mega quartz feldspar porphyry, which is the same rock type that the Blackjack deposit is in. So these three intrusions all have a lot of similar characteristics. And again, that was part of our targeting. And I think that's probably why Kennecott was in there looking as well. But we're pretty happy we're the first ones to get in there and diamond drill this target.
So, Mike, I do have to ask you, first holes into this Rhosgobel area, how do they relate to the Blackjack and Eiger deposits, which carry the resource for the company of that over 1.3 million ounces?
Yeah, well, Pukelman and Rhosgobel that we've just put these results out on, they're all part of the Clear Creek intrusive complex. This Rhosgobel is 5 kilometers south of the Blackjack and Eiger deposits. Pukelman is about 2 kilometers south. So really it's showing not only extensive mineralization within these intrusions, but over the entire Clear Creek intrusive complex. And we know that. We know all these intrusions have mineralization. That's been proven historically, as well as some of our recent work in different areas of the property. But, the tough part then is going within these intrusions and finding the areas where that mineralization is concentrated enough to potentially be a deposit, right? So we've proven that at Blackjack and Eiger, and we're pretty excited to step out into new areas like Pukelman and Rhosgobel here to add to the list, because the core of the Clear Creek intrusive complex is about 3 by 5 kilometers. So it's a very tight area. You could have shared infrastructure in there to find a few different deposits in the same area. Will truly be, that's our goal. We're not done finding deposits yet. Hopefully here's a forward-looking statement. Hopefully Rhosgobel turns into our third deposit. And we're pretty confident that other areas of the property hold similar potential, and we'll be making more discoveries up here.
All right. Well, we'll see what next year holds in terms of drilling at this Rhosgobel intrusion. Another question on that figure, too. We can see from that cross section, it looks like some of the best mineralization or higher grade mineralization is closer to surface, or at least in the upper portion of the hole. What can you tell us about the geology theory around that?
Yeah, well, the theory around these reduced intrusion related gold deposits is that in the upper part of the intrusion, the carapace, if you will, the kind of the skin of the orange, except it's a thick skin. The carapace can be, 2, 3 kilometers thick, is where this mineralization is strongest. And so we're seeing that, we're still in the carapace here. So that's a matter of the drilling to kind of go around and test other areas along strike here with this mineralized trend. We see as well as it to depth, because, these holes, although they go down 300 meters, there's a lot of room left there. And these are kind of structurally hosted areas, and that kind of shows that we're going along that structure, and maybe those scissor holes are just poking through the main part of the zone. So yeah, we're excited about going along strike and then testing this to depth in other areas as well.
Okay, so looking at figure 3, which is within the news release, so everyone can just click the link in the show notes to read through the news release and check out figure 3. You've mentioned just how widely spaced the past drilling had been done here. 200-meter spacings between holes. Really looks like from figure 3 again that these holes, 1 and 2, drilled right in the middle of this system. You also outline in the news release that this system laterally could be as large as 2 kilometers by 1.5 kilometers. How do you go about next year testing this system to see if truly these holes really are just in the middle of the system?
Yeah, more drilling. We like to market with the drill bit, and we have $15 million in the bank. So we're going to be doing a large drill program next year. Obviously, a focus on a few targets, but this one as well. And you can see in that figure 3, Kennecott, again, those short holes hit quite widespread mineralization. So there's a lot of areas to follow up on, but definitely a long trend to the east and west of these initial 2 holes really fits in our geological model, fits with our data that we pulled out of our oriented core in these first 2 holes. So we're just going to tag into this zone and step out along strike to the east and west and keep testing it. as well as look at depth projections. And there's other areas as well to the north and south of this main trend that we see that definitely could host additional mineralization. And we see there's a widespread gold in soil geochemical anomaly across this intrusion. So there's a lot of areas to look, but we'll home in on this first area first and give it a good test.
So, Mike, from a corporate perspective, and I know you won't have all the details on this because we don't even have the drill plans for next year, but look, you have the deposit, you have Eiger and Blackjack. I know you've drilled a couple holes, especially into Blackjack, still to come, but going into next year with the deposit, how do you balance out growing the known deposit, but then also moving forward these other new zones that you can drill and potentially build up resources there? How do you allocate money and time to both of these goals?
That's a good question. Obviously, we're always prioritizing targets, right? And so, that's why we quickly at the end of the season here got out and drilled just, we would have liked to do more drilling, but 2 holes each in Pukelman and Eiger. We have historical drilling as well in the saddle zone that sits midway between the Blackjack deposit and the Eiger deposit. We have a couple other very strong zones, the Contact and the Bear Paw Breccia, that are in the southern part of the Clear Creek intrusive complex. But, it's really, you prioritize almost hole to hole, but obviously next year with the amount of money we have in the bank, we can continue to do our resource expansion drilling at the Blackjack, which remains open. We will obviously keep going here at the Rhosgobel. We'll wait and see what those drill results are at Pukelman, but certainly, the more money and the larger drill program you have planned, the more targets you can test. And as you get those initial early season results back, you always have to pivot and adjust and spend your dollars where they're best allocated. So definitely we'll be starting out, I would think, we haven't put the pin in the map, but I'm sure we'll be following up on the Rhosgobel fairly early in the year. Blackjack is not drilled off yet, so we'll have more drilling to do there, and then we'll start testing some of these other targets.
All right, before I get you out of here, then, Mike, what is still to come from the drill program this year in terms of waiting for assay results?
Yeah, we have 2 drill holes that we announced the visuals on earlier on the Pukelman intrusion. That's kind of midway between the Rhosgobel and the Blackjack deposit. And then we have 4 holes left on the Blackjack. So yeah, there's 6 drill holes pending, and labs are, doing okay, but a little slow. So hopefully we have all those results, fingers crossed, by Christmas time. Hopefully we've got a few Christmas presents in that batch of drill holes.
All right, Mike, thank you very much for the update. Again, Mike Burke, Director and Vice President of Corporate Development at Sitka Gold. Please email me any questions you have for Mike so we can address those in future interviews. And Mike, I'll follow up when we get kind of more or less that last batch of drill results from this year's program. Thanks for the update today.
You bet. Thanks, Corey.